Let's go to Ray. It's a shame about Ray in Charleston, West Virginia. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Dr. John, it is a privilege and honor to speak with you today. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. And the privilege and honor is 100% mine, dude. Thank you so much for giving me a buzz. So what's up, man?
So thank you so much for those words. And I also want to thank you and your show for helping me with a lot of things over the time I've had listening to you guys. But one of the things in particular is helping me to understand the difference between wanting to lose weight and get out of debt and wanting to want to.
Ooh, great question.
Lose weight and get out of debt.
Okay. So you owe a bunch of money?
You tell me. I do. It's all student loans.
How much?
At this point in time, 170.
Woo! What do you do for a living?
So I'm a scientist and I work for the state. I work with police and prosecutors and I help analyze the evidence for them.
Gotcha. Excellent. So you are not making private industry money to pay these things back in short order.
In short order, that's about right. Yes, sir.
And I hear in your voice, we're not going to give away locations and details, and so I want to respect that. But also, I've worked in both private industry and in government institutions, and there's a vast difference in how they pay you. So there you go. And then tell me about your weight, dude.
So as of today, I'm at 300 pounds.
Okay.
So I would say about 100 pounds plus, somewhere around in that range, over what I should be, quote unquote.
Okay.
So
who gave you the should number, by the way?
The internet and health classes and all that. There's a healthy weight to height ratio. And
Ray. You want to know the difference between wanting to and wanting to want to is how much time you spend on the internet. I bet there's a direct correlation. So
fair point.
Get off the internet and I want you to set up a doctor's appointment. Okay.
Yes, sir.
With a real human that will look you in the eye and give you a good blood assessment, take care of you, and then say, here's where you're at. And if they're a great doctor, they'll say, here's where we're at because we're in this together.
Okay.
All right. So go to, so you've dug yourself a huge financial hole. To use Dave Ramsey's language, you have a very small shovel because you're a government employee. And do you love your work?
Honestly, yes, I do.
Okay.
This is exactly what I wanted to do when I was at the end of high school and into the beginning of the schooling that I did. I really wanted to work in law enforcement of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
The police routes didn't quite fit, so I thought being a scientist for the state working with evidence fit a lot better. And I'll tell you what, I do think it hit a lot of the marks for where I find value and purpose in work.
Excellent. Okay. So when you take me back to your original question and the genesis of that question.
Sure. So I feel like now I know what it means to want to lose weight and want to get out of debt. And I've heard so many debt-free screams now, like I can't say that I can't do it or I don't deserve to be debt-free or lose weight anymore. I just can't. I've heard too many instances of people who are able to do it. But there is something I'm struggling with, and I'm hearing these stories of all these people in their debt-free screams to work 5 extra jobs and can manage 4 to 6 hours a night of sleep, maybe actually getting 2 or 4 out of that, and with a family in the mix. And Dr. John, I'm wondering where all this energy is coming from, man.
So there is a tremendous, and there's psychological studies here. There's tremendous couple different things here. You've heard the studies about learned helplessness. Have you heard that?
I haven't. No.
There's some famous studies that could never be reproduced nowadays because of laboratory ethics and things. But essentially they shocked animals. I think it was dogs in the original one. They shocked animals to the point of pain, and they didn't let them. They didn't let them out of their enclosure, if you will. And so the dogs became frozen. And when they would intermittently let them out, the dogs continued to fight and claw their way out when they were getting shocked. When there was a perceived no escape, there came a moment when they just took the barriers away. There was no intermittent. They were free to go. And the dogs just sat there and got shocked. And they just said, this is the way this is. And it's a common response in people who experience trauma. It's a common experience in people who hate themselves for whatever reason. I'm not good enough. I'm always stupid. I'm going to always be a whatever. I'm the worst thing that ever happened to me. This is just the way this is. And I've run in circles with people, myself included, who have struggled with body dysmorphia and working out and disordered eating and being overweight. That's been the vast majority of my life. And the correlation between I'm fat and I am not worth being loved is, I think that's a cloud that hangs over our culture. Does that make sense?
That does. And it sounds like you've been reading my dirty laundry.
Well, so here's another psychological point that I want to hit home. You are more likely to go to a thing than you are sustainably than you are to run from a thing. You are trying to get out of debt. You are trying to lose weight. You are not, with a smile on your face, walking to freedom. And those are two different, they're the same path, but they're two different processes. My friend Sal DiStefano said two important things. He's with the Mind Pump guys. Two important things, and it was transformative for me, just hanging out with him and we were interviewing each other. He said, you cannot hate your body into better shape. You run out of gas. You just give up. You quit. You get exhausted. You can't hate yourself to a better body. And the second thing is, the person who loves the journey will always go further than the person who's obsessed with the destination. And I butchered that quote a little bit, but here was the transformative moment for me. I became obsessed with getting a number on the scale for so long. And I never weighed 300 pounds. I've never been obese, okay? So hear me say that. Everything changed for me when I decided I'm just a guy who takes care of his body. I'm a good steward of my body. And that was a part of an identity that was, I'm going to be a great husband and a great dad. And that meant I've got to have energy to be around my wife and kids. That meant I've got to have energy to help around the house. And the only way I can do that is if I exercise, because exercise gives me energy. And the only way I can do that is if I'm taking care, if I'm eating okay. Because if I just eat garbage all day, my workouts are not right. See how it all builds on itself?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
But it's when I quit getting obsessed with the scale. Now, a scale is an important marker. It's a data point, but it's not the end goal. It's just a number on a journey. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You have to decide, Ray. God, can I just ask you this? Man, who told you that you're no good?
Dr. John, elementary school kids are mean, man.
Yeah, they are. They're ruthless.
They are ruthless.
Yeah.
And middle school kids aren't much better.
No, they're sophisticated and ruthless. And high school kids are just evil. Yeah.
High school kids are just evil.
Yeah.
Going through school feeling alone. And I didn't really have many friends. I would even just say many acquaintances, let alone friends. And I finally got a friend from high school after high school. You know what I mean? So he's actually one of my best friends now, ride or die. But it was pretty lonely.
What about at home?
In high school? I grew up in a divorced household.
Okay.
My mom loves me to death. She did the best that she could raising me and my siblings all on her own. But me and my siblings didn't quite like each other either. So
somewhere along the way,
you
picked up the message: two things: you're not good enough, and you're never going to be good enough. And you went looking for power. You went looking for power as being a cop. You went looking for power with advanced degrees. Right? I'm going to show you. And man, you've developed this idea that if you're not, that you have to be punished for something. And I don't know what that is. We could talk about that probably for a while. But let me tell you, man, you don't have to hurt. Do you yo-yo a lot? Over the years, have you lost weight and gained weight back and lost weight and gained it back?
I think you're reading my mail too, Dr. John. I've been yo-yoing for the last 10 years.
So as soon as you lose a bunch of weight and you start to feel good, there's something inside of you that says, no, we got to be punished. We're no good. And that is the voice you have to, that voice doesn't get a vote anymore, man. Because that voice has taken their dad from their kids. That voice has taken somebody's husband away from her. And I don't know whose voice that is, man, but that's the one. Is that fair?
No, it's very fair. That's very fair.
If you can believe that you're worth loving, if you can believe that you're worth being loved, and I don't mean that in like the rainbows and gummy bears kind of way, although I love gummy bears. But I mean, like, you're like, tell me about it. You have to decide, I'm worth not hurting. I'm worth a life of joy and laughter. And here's the deal, man. You're going to have to practice that because you've never had it. You thought your doctorate or your master's degree was going to fix you, and it didn't. And you thought that one friend was going to fix you, and it didn't. And you thought the first time you were going to be with a woman was going to fix you, and it didn't. Fair?
Very fair.
Because that's inside of you, Ray. Do you want that?
I do. I really do.
Do you promise? Because I don't believe you. You really do?
Yes, sir. I really, really do.
Like walking to freedom. Now, listen, here's what this looks like. I made a bunch of promises to myself this year. I made a bunch of like commitments. I was really like, my wife and I went on our annual retreat. We go on every year to talk about who we're going to be and what we want to be about and what last year was about and where we're going. And yesterday, Ray, I consumed twice my body weight it started, somebody left a thing of brownies on my desk and I got back from the holiday break. And then there was this little snowman full of marshmallow chocolate covered candies. And dude, I went crazy. And here's the difference this year. I felt terrible yesterday. I have a hard writing deadline. I got nothing done. I was just a spinning out mess. And here's what I did. For the first time in my life, I smiled and said, all right, I got tagged today. And tomorrow it's game on. And this morning, I got up and I went back to the gym, did what I needed to do, was with my kids. I didn't go to war with myself. I didn't declare civil war against me. I'm not the worst loser ever. Dude, I ate a lot of candy yesterday and I felt terrible. And then today's a new one. That's what this is going to look like for a while you're practicing not hurting, while you're practicing this crazy idea called hope. So let me hear it again. Are you 100% in?
I am 100% in. Yes, sir.
All right. Here's what I'm going to give you. Number one, I'm going to give you my friend, Dr. Lane Norton's Carbon app. It's the best coaching weight loss app on planet Earth. Okay. It's the one I use. It's the one professionals use. And it walks you through calories and how the whole thing works. And it keeps track of your protein intake, all those kind of things. Okay. I'm going to give it to you for free. And it's going to be a lifetime membership for free. You never have to pay for it. Okay. But you got to promise me that you'll use it. Cool.
Oh, Dr. John, I'm speechless.
Hold
yes,
on.
sir,
I'm not done. Listen, I'm also going to give you Financial Peace University, the whole class, the Every Dollar app. I'm going to give you everything. Okay.
I'm not crying, Dr. John. You're crying, man.
Listen, I'm going to give all of it to you. And here's the only thing I'm going to ask for you in return. 2 things. Number 1, that you actually use this stuff. Number 2, that you keep me updated on your progress. Is that fair?
That's more than fair.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You are worth being able to laugh. You're worth being able to roll around on the floor with your kids. You're worth being able to have a reckless sex life. You're worth thinking, I need to take a second and third job, and but I'm too exhausted to do it. Can I also tell you this? You're probably worth more than the $65,000 a year you're making. You don't believe that, but you are. And I have found over the course of my career, I've got a particular set of skills. It's very small. My talents are very, I've just got 1 or 2 or 3 of them, but they are valuable in a number of different industries. And it may be that right now you've dug yourself a huge $170,000 hole. I may need to go look and see if I need to do something else for a season. And I may shock myself that I love that work too. Maybe not, but maybe. Okay. Actually, I'm going to give you my friend Ken Coleman's Get Clear assessment too. I'm going to give you that one also. That way you can go through and say, is there another job out there for me? Okay. I'm going to hook you up in the new year, but we're going to turn this whole sucker around. Is that fair?
That's more than fair, Dr. John. Thank you.
All right. I want you to hear you say out loud, I'm worth being well.
I am worth being well.
And I do not hate Ray.
And I do not hate Ray.
Dude, now you're on the path. It's gonna suck, man. It's not gonna be fun. In fact, it's gonna be miserable because you're not only having to budget your money and take a second and third job and say goodbye to your kids and learn how to eat in a way that's healthy for you and to start exercising, not as though you're gonna lose 30 pounds, but because this is who you are. That's going to be hard, but you're also going to have to learn for the first time to stop hating Ray. You're going to have to learn how to live a life full of joy and optimism and not a joy of misery and pain. And I got to hurt, and I got to hurt, and I got to hurt. You're worth it, my brother. You're worth it. Ray, let's go make it happen.